Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Got another album review to do for you today, and I'm going to be talking about the debut full-length album from the band Obscene, entitled The Inhabitable Dark, released this year through Blood Harvest Records. If you're not familiar with Obscene, they are a death metal band from Indianapolis, Indiana, which is just north of where I live, that formed back in 2017. And if the Metal Archives is correct, previous to this, they were also known as Blood Chasm, though I don't believe they ever released any music under that name. You got four guys that comprise this band. That is Roy Hayes on bass, Brendan Howe handling the drums. He is also in Summon the Destroyer. He was also an ex-live member of Asheron, handling drums there, I do believe, and just several other bands. You got Mike Morgan handling all the guitars. He's also in Summon the Destroyer, which is just another absolutely killer band from here in Indiana. Great death metal. He's in Christ Beheaded. He was also a former member of Demericus, who I believe just got back together not that long ago. And then you have Kyle Shaw handling the vocals. And as I said, this is their debut full-length album. It is 8 tracks, clocking in just under 33 minutes in length. And previous to this, they did have an EP entitled Sermon to the Snake that was released back in 2017. The band self-released that, though Blood Harvest did reissue it on cassette as well. But when you listen to this, I mean, this is just straight up death metal. There's no super clean productions here, no super techie riffs, just in-your-face death metal aggression. And overall, the production of this album, I think, is just heavy, it's dark, and it really makes the album title all that more appropriate when you think about it. The bass has a really good tone to it. It's not super high in the mix. It does come through with that real thick twang. In some spots, it comes through a little bit more than others, but it's always, ever present. You always hear it. And it gives each track just a really solid backbone. I just really think, the bass was really done well on this album. Drums have a real nice, hard-hitting production to them. There's lots of interesting drum patterns and rolls. Really good blast beats. I love the use of the double bass drumming here. Really well done. The guitars, they're heavy with just that right amount of crunch during the slower and heavier parts. And despite being, heavy and everything, they're just catchy as fuck, and you cannot help but nod your head along to them as you're listening to it, and then just bam, it hits you with this heavy punch to the gut. There's a solo in track 6 into Isolated Dumping Grounds. Oh my god, that solo is so fucking awesome. The whammy bar and dog bomb music really gives off that Rick Ross vibe to it when you listen to it. Track 2, Bless the Giver of Oblivion. I really love that it's kind of a start-stop, dun 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 riff, and how it just interplays with the drum beat underneath of it. I just thought that was really freaking cool. Let me see here. Get my page turned. Track 5, Black Hole of Calcutta, about 3 minutes and 12 seconds in. That riff, oh my god, it just exudes darkness when you hear that riff. I mean, it's like as soon as you hear it, you just think darkness. So, job well done there, I have to say. And there's elements of Unleashed and At the Gates throughout this entire album. And the biggest At the Gates element to me, anyway, is Kyle's vocals. I mean, he seriously reminds you of Tompa so much when you're listening to it. Just listen to the howl he does about a minute and 28 seconds into Bless the Giver of Oblivion, and tell me that is not Tompa. I mean, come on. And I'm not saying he's trying to copycat, but that's just, that's how he sounds, and I just think it works really well with this album. Overall, this is just a solid album. It's the perfect blend of heaviness, catchiness that just demands repeated listens. I've listened to this I don't know how many times, and I actually took a break from this for a little while just because I didn't want to get oversaturated with it or whatever, and I went back to it and it still just hit me as hard as it did the very first time, and I even found stuff in there that I didn't recognize, see the first time. It just has that really nice dark atmosphere that, you know, as again, going back to the album title, The Inhabitable Dark, you know, it's a dark album. It has a dark atmosphere, but it's a dark that you just want to keep coming back to. Hence why it's called The Inhabitable Dark, because it's a darkness you just can't help but want to be around all the time. And the other element that really, when I first listened to it, that came out of left field, but I think after repeated listen, I come to the conclusion that it really works, is the piano that concludes the title track on here and closes out the album. You know, you hear all this savage death metal, and then you hear piano taking you to the end, but it reminds me of kind of how they did it in the original Friday the 13th movie from 1980, where Alice has just gone through hell with all this dark shit happening, all this, you know, brutal stuff that has just happened that she has been a part of. And then you see her floating on the boat on the lake, and it's just real calm. It's like, you've made it. You're to the end. Everything is good now. And that's kind of how this is. You went through all this dark death metal, and you're finally reaching it to the end. You've survived. But again, it just draws you back in, and you want to go back for even more. So, yeah, solid 9 out of 10. There was no doubt. This is definitely going to be on my year-end list. I have no doubts about that. Go check them out. Show them some support. Yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.